Now that we understand process environments, let's take a look at running jobs in the background. As we mentioned, we've seen ourselves run commands in the foreground, namely, type a command, hit enter, and wait for the resultant information to be supplied, as well as a return to the shell prompt. We discussed in the last section that we can do this same type of work and place these jobs in the background. If we wish to launch a job in the background, we need only do so by placing an ampersand or the and symbol at the tail end of the argument itself. Have a look at the command shown here. In this output, we're taking a look at a sleep command argument. Sleep allows the operating system to wait a specified number of seconds. In this case, we're issuing the command for the operating system to sleep for 10,000 seconds. We may not want to sit and watch that to occur, so we'd like to do that in the background. In order to run this job in the background, we simply add the ampersand to the tail end of that argument and it will be placed into the background. When we do this, we're also told the PID or process identification number that is created for this job. We're immediately returned to our prompt and can continue our work while that job executes in the background. Now that we know how to launch jobs into the background directly, you'll need to know how to view the jobs running within the background. For this purpose, we have the command jobs. Here you can see an example of running the jobs command with the previous sleep command running in the background. If we were to have multiple jobs running in the background, they would all be listed here in the output. If we wish to bring that command back to the foreground and wait for its output to conclude, we can do so with the command fg. The fg command takes an argument of the job ID number. We'll specify it with a %, and it corresponds to the output of the jobs argument. If we look above, we can see that the sleep arguments are corresponding to the job number 1. If we wanted to bring this to the foreground, we'd use the fg command with the %1 in order to bring the sleep command back to the foreground. Here, we would now wait at the command line for this job to conclude before returning us to a prompt. If we wish to then proceed to put this back in the background, instead of waiting for it to conclude, we have a simple shortcut to do so. To send any foreground process to the background within our terminal, we'll need to use the Control-Z command to do so. Once we press Control-Z, the command is placed in the background but is suspended from execution. We can see the output here that shows the status stopped and the arguments for the command sleep 10,000. For the PS command, we also have the J option. This will display information relating to jobs. With the output of PSJ, we get some other specific information bits about jobs running in the background. We'll be given information we've seen before, namely the parent process ID and process ID of the process we've got running in the background. However, we'll be given some additional information. We'll get the process group identification number, as well as the session ID for the terminal that has launched the job. These bits of information allow us to correlate the running process or slept process in the background to the session and process group it originated from. With the example we're using, the sleep command is currently suspended, giving it a process state of the letter T. Here is the job we placed in the background, and we can see that the argument for its state is indeed set to T. While this process is in the background, if we wanted to start it from a suspended state and into a running state, we can use the BG command to manipulate the jobs in our background. Here, if we wish to resume the work that the sleep command was doing, we could use a BG argument that corresponded to the job number, %1, in order to resume the work of the sleep command we have in the background. If you were to try to exit your terminal and still had jobs running in the background, a terminal warning would be displayed that lets you know that you still have these jobs that if you'd like to manage them, running within your background. If you proceed to exiting your terminal, these jobs would be terminated. That concludes our section on running jobs in the background. In our next section, we'll take a look at a guided exercise where we can use these skills in order to manage background and foreground processes.